Great apes at the San Diego Zoo became the first non-humans to be vaccinated against COVID-19 earlier this month. Now companies are working to develop shots for more animals that have been proven to carry and spread the coronavirus. The idea, prevent animals from getting COVID before they can pass it on to people. Health officials are also worried about mink. Several mink farmers in the Netherlands tested positive for a mutated coronavirus strain last May. That strain was first found in the animals. The outbreak led health officials to shut down farms and put down thousands of mink to prevent further spread. Mahesh Kumar is the Senior Vice President of Global Biologics at Zoetis, which developed the vaccine used on the great apes at the San Diego Zoo. Thank you for joining us. How did your company develop the vaccine for the apes, and how is it different from the vaccines that we humans get?
So the first instance of COVID in dogs were in Hong Kong last February. And as soon as we heard that, Zoetis started working on a vaccine for cats and dogs. So the vaccine itself is very similar in that the virus is the same that affects humans as well as all animals, right? So what we did was we took a piece of the virus, the spike protein, and we used that. That's the same as in human vaccines. We then used a specific carrier or an adjuvant to combine with the virus part so that we have a vaccine for animals. So we started working on cats and dogs initially, but then we quickly pivoted to other species.
You talked a little bit about cats and dogs. What other animals are you working to create vaccines for, and why those specific animals?
So while we were working for cats and dogs, we recognized that it hasn't really spread into the companion animals. And the government, we are governed by U.S. Department of Agriculture, who also don't feel like it's important yet for cats and dogs. So while we're waiting on the program, we recognize that the disease was progressing rapidly in mink. And so the government also, the U.S. government, USDA, decided that they will allow a license for a mink vaccine. So we pivoted to a mink vaccine, and we started working for the mink. And while we're working on the mink vaccine, as when we heard about the primates in San Diego who got affected, and they reached out to us to see if we would be able to give them some vaccine, and we sure did.
Mahesh, if animals aren't vaccinated against coronavirus, how does that put humans at risk of infection, if at all?
Well, Zoetis is a company primarily that focuses on animal health. So we are concerned about the welfare and health of all animals. So for us, that's a primary goal. However, animals are responsible for close to 70% of emerging infectious diseases. So it's very important for us to stop the disease if it can ever happen in animals. There's no spillover into humans. So what we've done is basically we've had vaccines that we've developed for animals to prevent any further spillover into humans. As you know, in the mink in Denmark, they did mutate and cause a different virus that went and reinfected humans. So it's very important for us to really stop it at that stage.
Do you worry about other diseases spreading between humans and animals, especially as human populations encroach on wild areas?
Sure. I mean, I think it's very common. That's why we have a term called One Health, where we're trying to work with the animal and human interface to make sure that we are able to look at these kinds of areas and see what we can do to prevent these diseases. As you know, as we are encroaching on the territories where wild animals live, we will get more and more of these transboundary diseases between humans and animals and humans. We already have several of that in that manner, but we certainly want to make sure we're watching that, and then we are ready to deal with it when it happens.
So many of us have pets and we love them. Should we be worried that our pets are going to get us sick and vice versa?
Well, I mean, if you're talking specifically about COVID, I think at the moment we don't feel that the pets are a significant concern. However, as you know, that we started working in case this did happen, I just want to make sure that people know that if there's ever became a situation that becomes serious for pets, Zoetis will be ready for a vaccine or with a vaccine.
What does a vaccine rollout for animals look like?
Well, essentially, it'll be very similar to how we would do in humans, right? So we have vaccines, we go through the same preparations and development pathways in animals. We then have to go through a regulatory governance, which is USDA for us in animal health, and they will allow a product to be sent in and a product to be used for animals. And then rollout would be similar to a launch in any human vaccine that our companies would then provide through our network to places that might need it. And essentially, that's how we would do it. The vaccine itself is administered similar to humans. It can be given intramuscularly or subcutaneously, and that's how it's also provided for animals.
So interesting. Mahesh Kumar, thank you.
Thank you very much.